In the mid-1990s, a young, bold, and charismatic preacher named Mark Driscoll set out to do something radical in the heart of Seattle, Washington. Driscoll wanted to plant a church that was different, edgy, unapologetically biblical, but relevant to modern culture. And so, Mars Hill Church was born in 1996. Driscoll was a force of nature. With his sharp wit, brash demeanor, and no-holds-barred sermons, he quickly attracted a following. He wasn't afraid to tackle taboo topics and often using humor, shock, and explicit language to make his points. For many young Christians, particularly men, Driscoll was a breath of fresh air. He was bold, he was real, and he was fiercely passionate about the gospel. By the early 2000s, Mars Hill was thriving. The church grew rapidly, expanding to multiple campuses and drawing thousands of attendees each week. Mars Hill became one of the fastest-growing churches in America, a megachurch. But beneath the surface, cracks were beginning to show. Driscoll's leadership style was described by many as authoritarian. He made all the big decisions, and those who disagreed with him often found themselves pushed out. Former staff and congregants spoke of a toxic culture where fear and control ruled the day. In 2001, long before cancel culture became a term, Driscoll's online pseudonym, William Wallace II, came back to haunt him. Under this name, he had posted inflammatory comments on a Christian message board, mocking effeminate men, berating women, and using crude, sometimes vulgar language. These posts painted a picture of a man who was not only brash, but also, as critics said, cruel. Then came the allegations of financial misconduct. In 2014, it was revealed that Mars Hill Church had spent over $200,000 of church funds to manipulate the New York Times bestseller list for Driscoll's book, Real Marriage. The church had hired a marketing company to purchase thousands of copies of the book in bulk to boost its rankings. For many, this was a breaking point, a clear sign that the church's priorities had shifted from ministry to self-promotion. But the most damning accusations were those of spiritual abuse. Former elders and members accused Driscoll of being domineering, quick to anger and dismissive of dissent. A group of former church leaders formally filed charges against him, alleging a pattern of persistent, sinful behavior. By the summer of 2014, the fallout was unstoppable. Major donors withdrew their support, attendance plummeted, and several campuses closed their doors. The church that had once been a beacon of hope for thousands was now in freefall. In October 2014, Mark Driscoll resigned from Mars Hill Church, citing his desire to focus on his family and take time for reflection. Just weeks later, Mars Hill Church announced that it would dissolve entirely. It was the end of an era, but not the end of Mark Driscoll. After a brief period out of the spotlight, Driscoll resurfaced in 2016, founding the Trinity Church in Scottsdale, Arizona. He returned to preaching, attracting a new congregation in a mix of loyal supporters and skeptical critics. For some, his comeback was a story of redemption. For others, it was proof that he hadn't truly faced accountability for the damage done at Mars Hill. The rise and fall of Mark Driscoll and Mars Hill Church is a cautionary tale, a story of unchecked power, the dangers of celebrity culture in the church, and the fine line between bold leadership and spiritual abuse. It's a reminder that charisma and growth are not substitutes for humility and accountability.